presenting on one of the major study that I've been carrying out in the University of Bolton. However, this is one part of a large study. Before I start, I would like you to imagine or think about the word achievement and what does it mean to you, or what does it personally mean to you. Just think about it. I don't want you to answer. And what factors influenced your own personal achievement? Anybody thought about skills and effort as a combination? Right. So according to positive psychologist Martin Seligman, skill and effort, production of skills and effort, define achievement. So there are three main factors that define the skill, that is speed, slowness, and rate of learning. However, the other element, which is the effort, that's what I'm more interested in. Because according to Angela Duckworth, effort is equally important and indeed predicts achievement. And we, in the field of psychology, have been looking at IQ quite a lot of cognitive factors. We measure IQ, we measure memory, but we have been paying very less amount of attention to these non-cognitive factors. So the grit is one of those non-cognitive factors, according to Angela Duckworth, which predicts achievement than any other those cognitive factors. So grit is, to define according to Angela Duckworth, it is the perseverance, passion for long-term goals. So how harder you work towards a goal, how much of time you invest in working towards that goal, that define your achievement. So in her original study, she did find that grit did not positively correlate with IQ, but it correlated highly with the Big Five conscientiousness. So grit demonstrated incremental predictive validity of success beyond IQ and conscientiousness. However, why I was interested in grit? This is a study that we have conducted in the Bolton University. So we have a diverse group of students. We have a lot of mature students. It's a local university. We have students with disabilities. We do have students who are just after A-levels. But it's really a diverse group of students. 55% students are mature students in our university. And then we noticed the students who seems to be really good at the beginning, they're not doing really well. However, the students that we predict that, oh, maybe they're not really going to do very well, but they do really well towards the end. And the students who face a lot of challenges, they do very well. Whereas students who are young and who do not have a lot of responsibilities, they don't do really very well as the students who have a lot of responsibilities. So we were wondering what create these differences, what matters behind that. Then we wanted to, in collaboration with the unit that work on student life, we started exploring their grit, the reasons behind the success, the students who completed their studies, and also the reasons behind retention and dropouts. Because retention is a major issue across all universities in the UK, if you look at the national surveys. Then, I'm not going to go through literature. However, I just wanted to point out they are all very recent literature, because the term grit has been started with Angela Duckworth's study that she had conducted with Professor Martin Seligman. So they are all the studies are trying to explore how to develop grit, what is the impact of grit. So in our university, the study that I'm involved in, and I'm still conducting and carrying on the research further. So we have used grit questionnaire, which is just as Angela Duckworth's original tool, and then self-control questionnaire, just as the same original study. But we wanted to identify whether it applies to our own students. However, at the same time, we wanted to find out whether what is the average grit in our own university students. Therefore, one of our PhD students and colleagues, she had conducted a study across the university. She assessed a sample of 419 students on grit. So we found out the average, the mean score of grit is 3.39. And then what I have done, I've compared the average grit score in our own university with our own university high achievers grit score. So I've assessed a sample of 7 high achievers. These high achievers, I've operationalized it in such a way that high achievers were defined as the graduated with the first class and who won annual awards such as the Governor's Prize, the Chancellor's Award. Then their mean score was 4.65. So of course everyone, all 7 of them achieved above 4, plus there was one who scored the full score of grade, that is 5. It's a small sample to talk about quantitative numbers. However, so this is the comparison. But I also interviewed them just to find out what are the other factors behind their success. So I asked questions. It was a semi-structured questionnaire. I asked questions related to their experience, goals, journey of their university journey, or before they come to university, how did they decide to choose the university, what factors influenced them, what made them to come into higher education. So they were assessed, and then they all was scored extremely high on grade. These are the things that arrived from thematic analysis on those interviews. So that they all equally had really long-term goals. None of them said that they aimed towards first class. They all talked about achieving or getting into a PhD or becoming a clinical practitioner. So they were talking about career more than the first class, and first class was just a milestone which came along in their way. So they did talk about the challenges that they came across, and the challenges, they believed the challenges were helpful, and those challenges really get them to be successful at the end. And the commitment. Interestingly, I would like to talk about one of the last points that I put as a theme, that is part-time work. So all of them have been working part-time, or they were mothers and did a degree, had few children at home, or they were engaged in many other things around. So they did engage themselves in societies, other work around the university, plus worked part-time. They believed, all 7 of them believed that all the other things that they did really helped them to be successful. And the peer support, they also believed that amount of support that they received from each other. So the work that I just presented is one element of this larger model. So as you can see that we're looking at grade as one of these elements, and then we're looking at what makes a student thriving. Whereas this model I have adopted from one of my previous studies that I have previously presented in this conference about dyslexia. So however, we didn't test the other elements, but we're working on grit and self-control for this particular study. So the conclusions: high achievers have obtained a higher grit score and a higher self-control score. Challenges, experience, time spent on tasks improved their grit, because when we looked at the recent findings on the same study, that we could see that first year students' grit was lower compared to the third year students, so it eventually grew. And engagement, the amount of things that they were engaged in, work, sports, societies, and all the other activities. So also, the mini version of this study, which supports the original achievement formula, which is obviously the effort is more predictable of success than any other factors. So this is the further work that we are doing around grit. So a cross-sectional study among first year and third year students. I'm collecting data currently, and then the grit concept is embedded in the curriculum, and then we are working on setting the new curriculum, piloting with 2 platinum courses in business school, and then grit embedded peer mentoring scheme, which is starting in this September. So those are the implications that we are doing in the university. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.